summer home up in Pennsylvania that I went to every single summer up until I was about 14ish, because at that point I just wanted to stay at home and spend summer with my friends from school. Although I did have summer friends that I would see up there. One special friend, let's call her Janet, was one that I would share a lot of similarities with. How we met was kind of funny. She's about 2 years younger than me. She was just learning to walk and I had just met her friend, let's call him Kyle. Kyle and I hung out a lot. Then Janet entered the picture. We would often play run away from Janet. She would stumble after us as we ran around the playground laughing like hyenas. Poor Janet. She stumbled around everywhere, desperately trying to catch up to us as we were all like, this is so funny. Who knew she would soon be my best friend and I'd kick Kyle out of my life like an old set of shoes. Yeah, bye Kyle. 3-year-old me is too cool for you now. Anyway, Janet and I had one thing purely in common. We both came from destructive households. Her mother and mine were both abusive, verbally and physically, so seeing each other was the highlight of our day. We did a lot of things together, such as go to the zoo, go to Camel Beach Water Park, go to the Wayne County Fair, go to the mall and to the movies, etc, etc, you get the point. Case in point, when we were up there in the summer, we were always together, no matter what. Janet usually arrived up there for the summer before me, so I would always look to see if she was there by looking for her car in the driveway. As soon as we would park at our place, I'd run off to go find Janet. Now let me tell you a little something about my summer home. It was a mobile home community. Not the type you're thinking of though. Yeah, not quite like that. There were a bunch of lots with trailers with yards that people would decorate up and enjoy the summer at. In the middle of the place we had the clubhouse, which was where they would hold events such as family night, bingo, candy bar bingo, and toy bingo for kids, my fave as a kid. Serve food and have a bar for the grown-ups. Alongside it was the playground. In the back of that was the 3 pools. There was a huge pool with a slide at the bottom of a hill in which the swim team would practice because it was huge. Then a kiddie pool, then the top pool, which was a heated pool that everyone would go to, so it would literally be packed. And the pool was so warm you weren't sure if you were swimming in kid pee or not. Yay! So we stayed at the bottom pool. It was colder, but it had more space. We liked it that way. We were silly kids, always stuck in our imagination. We'd constantly be mermaids in the pool, set up our towels alongside the pool like beds, using pool noodles as pillows. This was my idea, and I thought this was a 5-star luxury as a kid. You know what, screw it, I still think it's a 5-star luxury. As an adult, I take doing that over working and paying for bills any day. We'd eat pizza with a spoon, thinking that was the coolest thing in the world. I don't know why. Because we were kids, that's why. We would soon discover the wonderful world of peach Snapple. Since they were sold out of the regular Snapple, then the regular Snapple was just not good enough for us. We would always have to have the same toy that the other had. We tried to make our own clubhouse out in the woods that, now that I think about it, was not safe at all for a 6 and 8-year-old, and I'm happy I'm alive today. We also had a little friend group, but we would always gladly spend time alone together because we just enjoyed it that way. Plus, there was this girl up there who had the same name as me, by the way, that Janet would jump between. I'm with the better Pinkley, she'd always say to me if I got up for summer too late and she'd spend time with this bratty girl. Or she'd act this way because she was mad that I'd went away for Disney World for 2 weeks. The other Pinkley never took showers. She was a part of the swim team, so her hair would just harden from all the chlorine and lack of bathing. Her parents always wore tie-dye and would scream at the top of their lungs at each other. Barbie, her older sister, would come around to bully us when we'd play together. And this other Pinkley would be a bully as well. But all I can see now that being older, she was probably jealous because she wasn't really a part of our friend group and she wanted to be. I'm sure she didn't come from the best of families either, but we just didn't click with her. Or we'd hang out with her when the other wasn't around. Wrong. I know. But I was 7 and the other kids' feelings didn't matter to me. All I cared about was showing off my cool tricks on the swings and spending the summer with Janet. What? You want to know about my cool trick? I'd swing high, then twist myself in the chains and spin around everywhere. Oh, I know, I'm such a bad butt. I told you I was too cool. There were times when my mom would come screeching at me in the playground and drag me away back home for something or other. Janet would come to get me, which my mom exiled me to my room, which was basically a closet with bunk beds for doing something wrong. The same thing would happen to Janet, and we'd go days just crying all day from the abuse we would follow. Sure, I'm sure I'd done some things to warrant my parents being angry. What kid hasn't talked back? Janet too, but sometimes we just got way more than we ever should have. You can always tell when that would be the case, cause when we'd see each other again afterwards, whoever went through that would be totally different. Staring at nothing, not being too talkative, and being very irritable. It sucked, but the other understood, so it was just nice to have each other to sit and just be present, even though we may not have been. In the playground, we had this little play gym that not many of the kids would play in because the teenagers would usually sit on top and make the thing super scary and unapproachable. But it didn't bother Janet and I. We'd still play inside it. Plus, one of those scary teenagers was her brother Adam. Adam was a jerk. He'd constantly pick on Janet, tell Janet she wasn't supposed to be born, pick her up and shake her, throw her around like a rag doll. He was just an all-around buttwipe. I'd stick up for her and he'd yell at me to shut up and watch my mouth. Janet and I also had this in common. Her brother and her had a huge age gap. Came from different parents and they just didn't click as siblings. I had the same issue, but my brothers were just way older than me, to the point that they were already out of the house and ready to start their own lives, so I was just kind of forgotten. Plus, stuff with my mom went down. If you want a story on this, leave a like below and a comment telling me about it. I'm most likely going to say it anyway because I know there must be other people that are currently going through the stuff I went through, and I could possibly help them by telling them about my experience. And if I can help someone out there that truly needs it and was feeling the way I did back then, I think it's worth it, even if it's just one person listening to that story. Anyway, sorry, back on track. But this little playground area we called our home. We would talk about how we would turn it into our runaway home. The blue tunnel being my bedroom, the red being Janet's, the middle being our kitchen/living room. Yeah, our little 6 and 8-year-old brains were dreaming. Pretty much anywhere we could run and just cry about how things were at home was our safe place, and this was it. We would always sit together, cry, then smile at each other's crying faces, and always tell each other, "Your mom's a jerk, but you're my best friend, so things will always be okay." Until they weren't. I was standing by my mom as Janet went into the clubhouse to go to the bathroom. She was sitting on the bench in the park with Janet's mom, where I overheard Janet's mom say to my mom, "I really didn't want a girl." To which my mom responded, "Why? Because boys are easier?" "No, because mental illness runs in my family on the girl's side. It's likely Janet is going to get it. I'm showing signs of getting it. I'm here for you if you need it." I didn't really understand what they were talking about, so I just ignored it and went back to playing with my best friend. Time went on like this, and I thought it would go on like this forever. She even came with her mom to visit me in Bayonne. She was from New York, so it wasn't too long of a trip for them. I was very excited to show her around my town. Soon I was 12 and she was 10. I was getting sick of going up to the summer home because I was making friends back in my own town and wanted to spend the summer with them, so I didn't go up as much. The time I did, I saw Janet again and she'd say, "Why haven't you been up with your parents lately?" "I like the time away from them at home," I'd answer. She would frown but didn't argue. "I wish I could have that too, but I miss you." "I'm still here." "No, you aren't. You're getting too old to hang out with me." "That's not true. We are best friends. Come on." Time continued as usual. Then I was swinging on the swing I had on my own property to see Janet and her mother walk over. My mom greeted them to where Janet's mom yelled at my mom for no reason, started squawking about random stuff that didn't make sense, grabbed Janet by the elbow, and stalked off. Summer ended and we went home. Next summer I came up and... I never saw Janet again. Life went on as if she was never a major part of it. I went to high school, would come up to the summer home at random times where I even saw the other Pinkley again, and she would ask about Janet all the time, which I would reply, "I don't know what happened to her." I stopped going up. I'd spend time with my new friends. Janet became a distant memory that I would look back on from time to time. We were getting ready to move to Pennsylvania for me to go to college when... Janet? That's her.